can the US say it is supporting Hong Kong by passing an act to hurt it economically? It can only be described as schizophrenic. On the one hand, the US characterizes the Basic Law as Hong Kong's constitutional document, which it is not. On the other, it punishes Beijing for following the law. Selective reading or political schizophrenia? The Basic Law should be observed, but it's not the ultimate constitution of Hong Kong. Being part of China, as the US government acknowledges, Hong Kong first has to honor the Constitution of the People's Republic of China in addition to the Basic Law. In denial of this fact, the US government has literally overturned Hong Kong's status as part of China. Remember, Hong Kong was taken by Great Britain as it sought to impose itself as China's opium drug lord. Article 23 of the Basic Law requires that the city enact laws on its own to prohibit any act of treason, secession, sedition, subversion against the central government, etc. In simple terms, acts that endanger national security. But 23 years after the handover, the city has yet to fulfill its legal duty. It remained a politically porous city where people enjoy freedom without the responsibility to protect national security. Their rights to security can't be protected as a result. That's where China's top legislature stepped in. Article 18 of the Basic Law says that China's top legislature may add to the list of laws attached to the Basic Law in an annex confined to matters concerning defense or foreign affairs, as well as other matters outside the limits of the autonomy of the region. This certainly includes matters concerning national security. In the United States, as you know it better than I, the advisor to the president on matters related to defense or foreign policy is called National Security Advisor. Imagine the United States in China's shoes. If China would enact a law condemning police brutality against African Americans in America and sanctions US persons and entities that are liable, how would it feel to you? Maybe China should consider it, as the US's track record has been abysmal and doesn't seem to get better on its own. The new national security law did spark some concern among some countries, but has also won widespread support, as demonstrated during a recent United Nations Human Rights Council meeting. While 27 developed countries, some of them former colonizers, expressed concerns, 53 countries, mostly developing countries, welcomed it by issuing a joint statement. They stressed that every country has the right to safeguard its national security through legislation and commend relevant steps taken for this purpose. The 53 countries believe the legitimate rights and freedoms of Hong Kong residents can also be better exercised in a safe environment. Not just for outsiders, for US businesses in Hong Kong, it's not all doom and gloom. Quite the opposite. A recent survey conducted by the US Chamber of Commerce in Hong Kong showed that few of their members plan to leave, albeit some are concerned with the new law. Many are still optimistic about the long-term prospect of the region, although ambiguity looms over what the law means for the US community in the city. Like any good piece of legislation, how the law will be implemented will be the key, but I believe it's in the interest of Beijing that Hong Kong continues to be a free and prosperous city, and international businesses continue to find it attractive. But the latest US measures not only reflect schizophrenia in the system, but also complete disregard to China's sovereignty. That's why China has summoned the US ambassador in Beijing to lodge stern representations. As I speak, the US is contemplating visa restrictions against all members of the Chinese Communist Party. How is it going to affect China? Well, nobody will probably die from not going to the US, but hundreds, even more Americans are dying on a daily basis from the failure of the US government to curb the coronavirus. President Trump brags about being the toughest president on China, but does that automatically make him the toughest president on an epidemic? You have your own judgments.